welcome to One Voice Live, where we talk about One Voice, what it is, and how it fits into the world of singing. I'm your host, Alex Zito, and I'm joined today by One Voicer Ryne Nardecchia.
Hello!
I'm so excited to have Ryne here.
I'm so excited to be here.
A few fun facts about Ryne. He is the son of a left-handed man, and he has too many histamines in his body. Google it. It's very interesting. The only fight he's ever gotten into was at zoo camp, and he kind of won, and he also kind of lost. When he was little, he wanted to be an Olympic swimmer, a major league baseball catcher, and a professional skier, but instead he sings and dances for a living. Please welcome Ryne!
Hello!
Another fun fact, it's Ryne, not Ryan.
Yes.
Do you get that all the time?
All the time.
It's fun.
Raine.
Renee
a lot. I won an award once at school, and it's Ryne Nardecchia, and I got told, congratulations to Ryne Nardecchia for your award.
What was the award?
Oh, it was like a theater award. It was the Tommy Tune Award.
Ooh,
Yes.
I've heard of it. Wow, you're so cool.
Thank you so much.
You're so cool.
I was so cool for getting theater awards in my high school.
Were.
Yeah, thank you.
That's great. I got a Ramsey once at Texas State.
Oh,
so,
damn.
Yeah.
Damn.
I hate to brag.
Cool.
Okay, so the first question I like to start off with, how did you get into singing?
I got into singing when I was about 10. I was really close with my sister growing up. Hi, Grace. You're probably not
Hi,
there,
Grace.
but maybe.
She'll watch it someday, I'm
She'll
sure.
watch it someday. She started getting into like theater, and I saw her in a couple shows. There was a community theater near us called Applause Theater, and they were doing a production of Fiddler on the Roof.
Oh my gosh.
Which is funny because, I just did that. And
you just went on tour for that show.
we saw them in a show. Grace was like, I want to do that. And so she did, and I watched her do it, and I was like, yeah, it kind of looks like fun. And I like to hang out with her. So I was like, yeah, let's go. And I saw how many friends she made from that. So I was like, let me do the same thing. And I did it. I was in a 15-minute production of Annie, where I was the only boy. I played Rooster. We had a Mama Moorbucks.
Oh my God, that's so cool.
Yeah, it was wild.
A 15-minute production just for fun?
There was just these they shortened down versions of these longer shows.
Mm-hmm.
For the kids would go for basically a week. You'd put it up in a week. You do it. I did it. I sang in front of people. I was terrified.
Oh my God.
And I was but people were being I don't know, there was a bunch of the kids that were I was 10, they were 12, and they were
Mm-hmm.
yeah, you're cool with us. And I was like, whoa. So yeah, from then I just it became very normal in my life to go there every day, sing.
Mm-hmm.
And I basically did that all through middle school, all through I dropped all those sports and stuff that I was trying to do, swimming and baseball and stuff,
Olympic skiing
that I was
just had to put that aside.
Oh God, I had to give up my dream of Olympic skiing in Texas.
You poor thing.
Yeah, right.
Texas.
Yeah, I eventually just no, I'm just gonna sing now. This is
That's
fun.
so cool.
Or, perform.
And when you started doing that, were you this is what I want to do?
It was always something I felt very comfortable doing, and
Mm-hmm.
it kind of came a point where I actually kind of remember the moment. I had already done 10 shows with this theater that I was I put a lot of time into this.
Yeah.
Maybe this is a life thing I can do. I don't know. At that point, I was 16, or 15. No, I must have been younger even when I was having those thoughts. It doesn't matter. But yeah, no, it was never a thing until I was auditioning for colleges that I was even oh yeah, no, I guess I could do this for a living.
So how did you go from this is fun to I'm gonna go into go to school for 4 years for this?
I guess the first big the first show that I got paid to do,
Mm-hmm.
that was a really wild thing. I only got paid $500 for the whole production.
Mm-hmm.
And I was younger. It was a production of a Christmas Story that they did. And
Cute.
I played Flick, who gets his tongue stuck to the pole.
Oh my gosh, I want video of that.
Yeah, I'll find
right
the photo.
now.
I'll find something. But I think that was the first thing I was oh whoa, I got something for, you always you have to pay to do productions and stuff, and
Right, yeah.
yeah, as a kid I was a 12-year-old just being all right, here's my my parents would pay for it.
Right.
But I think that moment was very much oh, you can live off. I never understood that, and then I was
Mm-hmm.
why don't I? I'm yeah, totally
yeah, play pretend for a living.
for sure.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Talk to me a little bit about what you had built as a singer at that point.
Sure.
Growing up before One Voice.
Totally. Yeah, there's weirdly Texas is fairly I guess advanced. They put a lot of emphasis on arts just in general,
yeah.
in schools and the community choir. Texas choir is crazy.
TMEA. Did you do Texas choir?
Yeah, totally.
Did you do Texas State?
Texas State.
Did you do All-State choir?
I didn't. Grace did, but I never did.
Gosh.
I had a lot of friends that did, and I was, I stuck to more of like the like theater club like in my school and stuff. So like that was like, and like that was a whole other like packet of stuff. And so no, to answer your question,
Great.
I didn't. What was your question?
My question. It's going well. Pre-One Voice.
Pre-One Voice training.
What did you have built?
Yes.
What was singing like for you?
So I did a lot of that through like those community theaters and like things like that. And then eventually I was like, gosh, this stuff's kind of hard. I need someone who knows more than I do to like I guess like my mom like ended up finding like who was like the voice teachers in town. And I went through like 3 or 4 different voice teachers before Texas State. And a lot of them, most of them were not through school. Like one of them was through school, and just kind of teaching what they learned. Like a lot of like the the goofy stuff that you hear about, like imagine the small room in your house, like in your head. Now go into the small room, and like that's where the note's gonna be. Like imagine that feeling. And they're kind of talking about.
Never heard that one.
No,
before.
like there was one woman who's like when I was like starting to, my voice like changed, and I was like trying to get like these like notes back and stuff, and she was like, okay, like we eventually got it, and I was doing it, and she was like, what does that feel like? And I was like, oh, kind of like this. And she goes like, does it feel like a small room? And I was like, yeah, sure. And she's like, yeah, just like go into that small room, and like that's the note, like that, there it is, like right up there. Like,
was it resonance?
I guess it was.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's what she was trying to make me do, and just like, yeah, like, she was also trying to make me, I think, manipulate my vocal tract in like a way. So like she's like recreate that feeling, which I actually like later found out. I think that kind of influenced me a lot later on, because like I liked it to feel the sensation of like singing higher, like the same way that I feel it in my chest. Like I think that was kind of like traumatizing in some ways.
Oh no.
Yeah, like later on, like I was like, oh yeah, like I have to feel it. Like I have to feel it the same way. Where
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Weird. That's like impossible.
Mm-hmm.
What other? Okay, so what did you coordination wise? What did you have built before One Voice?
Chest, middle, head.
Rumble?
Didn't have rumble.
Whistle?
And I didn't know. I still don't have whistle.
I don't either.
Yeah.
I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah.
I'm pissed. Okay, cool. So you were fairly lucky.
Yeah.
As far as guys go.
Yes.
Because you saved your middle coordination
I
and
saved-
head coordination.
Yeah. I had that because I sang a lot of Jersey Boys in the car as a kid.
That will
so,
do it.
Yep.
Yeah, that's awesome. What were some of the stories you were told? Kind of like look for the small room. Were there any stories or like this is where you're limited or anything like that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, mostly about my lower voice actually. So it's just like,
Really?
yeah, with like people being like, well, you're just not that, like you're yeah, especially when I was like, when I was really young, it's like, oh, you have to be like a grown up to sing these notes. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. And then I was like, when is that going to happen? And then like never did. And I was like, they're like, oh, that just must not be your voice. Like you just have like a higher voice in general. And I was like, oh, cool. All right. Good to know. And I was like, these are the songs I can sing because like, this is my voice as it stands. And, yeah. So mostly that.
Cool. So then One Voice enters the scene. What is your initial reaction when Michael's first talking about it?
Definitely. I'm like, okay, yeah, sure. But like,
That sounds nice.
that sounds nice. And like, yeah, that would be cool. But
yeah.
no, like there's no way. And then, but then I met him actually first at TPAP at Company
Oh, cool.
One. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, weird, right?
We met, what year was that? 2012? 12? Yeah.
12, yeah.
And then you ended up going to Texas State.
The year after. Or, no, it must have been 11 then.
I remember
I was a junior in high school.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, 2011, I think. Yeah. We met years before and then ended up at the same school. It's cool. Anyway, so you met Michael at TPAP.
Yes.
You hear this amazing theory.
This like theory, this like.
And you're like, this is too good to be true.
This trick, yeah.
And then was there a moment where it started to like kind of be like, oh, maybe this is a thing?
I was seeing the way he was talking about it with other students, and then all of a sudden them start to get things, and I'm like, yeah, that is that. When he would simplify it, like it was like there was no small room, there was no this, like there were tools to get you to where you needed to go with your voice, but it wasn't like you have to do this, otherwise like you won't hit it, and it is simpler than that, and like you just need to like if you understand the anatomy of by going to the anatomy of the voice, which is something none of my teachers ever did. They were just like, here's your voice as it stands, and like it's this magical unobtainable thing, or like I guess fixable thing. Not, I don't know if like you would say one voice like fixes a voice.
It's Malleable.
Malleable is better. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
To like chain to. Yeah.
Immovable.
To malleabate it. I don't know if that's it. Okay.
I'm stealing that forever.
Cool.
So good.
Yeah, that I was like, okay, this guy's maybe knows what he's talking about, and then I went to school and watched it happen for 4 years.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so you're at Texas State. You're in sessions. What happens for you as a singer?
I start realizing the inefficiencies were like a huge. Me and Michael talk constantly. Where I did this, I played Roger and Ren sophomore year, and he uses that as an example of like, hey, like remember when you did this wrong during Roger and Rent, like all the time, which is great. I love that he does. He's like, imagine if you were playing that role now, and like you had these things now when you're like a junior and senior. I'm jumping ahead a little bit, I guess, but
that's fine.
He's like, thank you. He was like, imagine like, because it took me about that long to really like, because I came into the program being able to sing in the way that I knew how and being like, yeah, it's fine, it's like efficient, and then I like start like pooping out, losing my voice, things like that, and having a really hard time and like feeling tension in my neck, and which is during that time during sophomore year. So like I slowly just realized that like it can be easy, like it doesn't have to be as hard as I'm making it all the time.
Interesting.
Yeah. What's
so funny to me is, although you could have been more efficient during Rent, like you were great.
Well, thank you.
You know, like there are so many singers, even on Broadway. I was talking about this with Marquis today. We were working together. Like Jessie Mueller, I listen to her and I'm like, you're so great. But of course, like if she's, I'm sure takes voice lessons, and there are people who are working with her voice. There's this one voice level of like perfection, but there are so many working singers underneath that. And I think that's kind of where you fell in Rent.
Totally.
You were getting through it, but maybe it wasn't exactly where you wanted to be as far as like ease and efficiency.
At that part. Yeah. At that point. Which is also interesting because that mentality of like, oh, it'll always be easy is also not true. Like, I had a lesson with Jackson actually like not too long ago, and I had to go in and sing Santa Fe for an audition, and I was like Jackson, I can't make it like lighter weight like up there like when I'm singing all this, like it doesn't feel easy. And he's like, it's because you need more weight on it actually, like you're trying to go into it, and that's why your voice keeps like flipping. I don't know if I'm tangenting, but like it's just there's something like where you're like, oh yeah, well like it's that way always. It's like you have to constantly be like, I realized you have to constantly be monitoring it, and I knew how to think about it in a way that like before college I wouldn't have been able to.
Yeah, totally.
It's like, all right, it's gone. All right.
Yeah, and in the same vein, like we're told, I don't know if you were told this, but that we shouldn't feel much here, or that effort shouldn't be high.
Yes.
And for people trying to create heavyweight for the first time, that can be such a traumatizing mentality to move forward with, because you will feel stuff. You will feel a lot. You will feel so much pressure building up, especially for the first time. But anyway, tangent. Love it. Roger, what were you doing during Rent, if you don't mind sharing with us?
Vocally?
Yeah.
So it was like I said, like I had to feel it. I was manipulating my vocal tract a lot, where I was trying to like open up the vowels in ways that was like, because I wanted to feel that sensation of like, it should feel powerful. I'm singing high notes. I'm singing like emotional notes when you like tie the emotion to them. And I don't think I ever started with that role from a place of like, let's sing it easily, know how that is, and then building the stuff on top of it. I think I was just like, all right, I know how it needs to sound, and
got it.
Going in and never really like taking the steps it needed to like, I don't know. And I think in lessons, definitely Michael tried to make me like go backwards in that sense, but I had already like it's like such a mental game, like as well as physical. So,
totally.
So I think that was like, yeah, I don't know. I would just get like, I would lose my voice. I was also getting sick at that time, things like that.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I remember getting sick during shows at school, and it's just like the worst.
Yeah.
Shots of steroids.
Yep. It's like,
yep. So talk to us about some of the improvements you've seen with One Voice.
Totally. I mean, especially with longevity is like probably the biggest one. Just being able to sing as often as I could. Like I said, I just did those 2 tours, and like being able to, after one of the first tour for Gentleman's Guide, I was a swing, so I wouldn't sometimes go on for like weeks at a time, and then just like having to do that, and then being like, I don't know, I think I had never really experienced that in my life. I'd always be singing in some sense, but like when you're on the road, like you're in hotel rooms, like you can't really find time to sing, and like knowing like what I needed to do like on my own time to like stay healthy in that way. And then like when actually doing like the show, like all of that was coming from like the technique of like one voice, and like knowing I was like, why am I like cracking here, like, or like why am I like, what's happening in my voice in this part, and these like higher notes, these lower notes, and I don't know, just like I'm rambling a little bit, but like just knowing how to take care of yourself.
Yeah, totally.
And then for Fiddler, I was singing every night and like singing the same thing every night, and like what that feels like when you're like, there's days where I was like, why is this so hard today? And like, why am I like feeling all this tension in my neck? And I was like, I have like kind of gone into this like weird spiral where like I'm not thinking about what I'm doing. I'm just singing, and like that's not cool. And even though like it wasn't a hard show for me to sing, like I still needed to be like having as much awareness in that way. So
interesting.
Yeah.
Did you figure out what was happening?
I was singing backstage, and we didn't really have any monitors, so I think I was trying to hear myself. And I think I was just like pushing a lot and doing a lot of like extra squeeze that I didn't need to be doing. Yeah.
Very cool.
That's probably the
yeah, but I think you're hitting the nail on the head as far as the gift that One Voice gives us, as far as knowing our voice and how to make adjustments on our own without, and sometimes I'm still like, Michael, help me.
What do I do?
But more often than not, I get to just work with myself. Totally. And it's not just because I'm a coach. Like One Voicers all over are like at their keyboard, like trying to build weight or access new coordination.
Always,
which I think is just so cool. One of the best things. Do you have access to Rumble now?
I do. It's not very strong, but I do have it.
That's cool. Have you ever used it?
Not in a show? Actually, yeah.
Really?
Yeah. For auditions, I do a couple times. I'd actually sang for a Johnny Cash thing recently, and I was like, what?
That's perfect.
I was able to hit it, so yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's really great. See, you're grown up now.
Thank you. I'm a big boy.
You're a big boy. So number one biggest improvement with One Voice, what would you call that?
Mental awareness. And then as like far as like just like a like it is mental, get out of your own way in that way, and like if you just think about it and like knowing how to get out of your own way and like really exercise. Physical, it's like I would say understanding what weight feels like in like my higher coordinations for sure, especially in the upper middle and like head voice, and doing that with ease and knowing that it feel easy, and then like what you add on with that. Yeah, that's
awesome. That's so cool. Talk more about the mental part of it. Can you give us an example of what
sure
you mean?
Me and Jackson just had a lesson recently where we worked for the full hour, actually like an hour and a half, on just the last like 3 notes of the show or the song, and it took me that whole time literally to just like get exhausted and just like sing it once. And he's like, yeah, that's it. And I was like, why is that it? Like the whole time it was just like, because I was like trying to like mentally muscle it in like a way that I was like, this is what it should feel like. And the other time that I did it, it was like this. And then the minute I kind of just like gave up and sang, like I kind of just let my voice do what it wanted to do. And then understanding what that feels like, and that like if you can get in your own way, like by trying to like mentally muscle it, I think.
So you think what you're saying is you had an expectation of what it was supposed to feel like,
totally,
and then it got in the way of what your goal actually was. That's so fascinating. We're so annoying to ourselves.
Oh, completely.
That's amazing. Oh, that's good. Where are you right now in your One Voice journey?
I'm good. I'm still trying to I think building. Actually, I learned the importance of, I think, singing in different parts of your voice while like on tour. Like, 'cause I was singing every day during that show. Like I came back and I was out of shape, like especially like in the upper stuff. Like I was like, I haven't touched any of this, and like I kind of need to rebuild some weight up there so that I can like go to an audition like when I find out about it like a couple days in advance to be like, okay, you have to sing this now. And it was like, oh
yeah,
like,
you can't.
You can't have.
You have the tools, but it's a matter of time at that point.
So it like takes those like, because you can't do it in like 4 days. So I think figuring out that is like a thing that like I'm constantly juggling with, and I think getting better at, definitely.
That's great.
Especially by like like having a lesson every week keeps you accountable for at least like, okay, cool, I have something to show. But like if you like literally put in your calendar, like this is when your lesson would be, like just like doing that, then like
Oh my gosh.
that's a great, I think, thing that's helped me.
Totally.
So.
Yeah, when I was on tour in 2015, I think they assigned me to the alto line, which was like the worst thing that's ever happened to me.
Great.
I love singing low, but because you're in hotels and waking up and then going to the show and then going to Chili's afterwards or whatever that life is.
Yep.
Honestly, tour for us was just like walking down highways.
Totally.
We were always just like on a
Always.
highway,
Yep.
just like walking, like we may die.
Here's a tour of this gas station. Yep.
But between all those things, I had no time to do my vocal practice at all. So I remember coming back from that tour and trying to sing, and it being the first time in my life that I really hadn't been working out all of my voice, all of my coordinations, and that I had access to at the time, and I was mortified because this thing that had just always been there all of a sudden was not.
You're like, oh, why can't I do this? It's like, oh, because I haven't been trying. Like I haven't been working on it.
Been going to the gym, so to speak. Yeah, and I remember being like, oh, this is a real thing. They're coming for you. Yeah, right.
I'm trying now.
Amazing. Okay, last question.
Make it a good one.
What advice do you have for One Voicer?
Oh, advice. I don't know.
Wise words.
Wise words.
It doesn't have to be profound.
Yeah, I don't know.
Just like
honestly, advice for One Voicers. I mean, it's just for like learning in general.
Yes.
Ask a lot of questions and like don't think you know more than the teacher because you probably might. You don't. I don't know. It's really bad advice.
I don't think ask questions is great advice.
Ask questions is great advice. Always ask questions.
I think never assume you can't learn something from someone.
I think that's what I'm trying to say. Thank you. Yeah.
Because I think even pretty much every person we've interviewed, by the way, has said some aspect of that, which I think is so cool.
Oh,
because
weird.
questions is like so rooted into our culture
Completely.
and principles. But I think there is something to be said. We talk a lot about straddling the conventional world of singing and the one voice world, about being able to go to rehearsal and someone says like, can you put that in your mix? And we know like boop, boop, boop. Oh, great. That means lighter weight or whatever it means. But just because they're using a different vocabulary, there's still so much to learn from those moments. Like they could give you an exercise that you're like, I have no idea why you're calling it a small room, but why? Yeah. Let's figure out what that means. I can still learn something from that, and there's something to gain there. Totally. So I think that's great advice.
It's so helpful to have other people. Like you can't also like do it all by yourself. Like I think there's days I'm like, what's going on? Jackson, what's happening? like and he's like, it's this. Or maybe or he doesn't say it's this, but we'll literally take the hour and this is happening and be like, what do you think that is? And like, I mean, it makes sense that we say ask questions. That's how basically like Michael teaches is through questions. Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah. Neat. Yeah, and as far as other people, like as much as information as you have, you can't hear yourself in the same way that someone else can. No.
Recording is so helpful too.
Recording's great too, yeah. Yeah. Rakojo. When Ryan walked in, we both were like, our brains are gone. But I think we did fairly okay.
We did pretty good.
This was great. Do you have anything else you want to add as far as One Voice, your journey, your wise words?
No.
Okay, great.
I miss everybody.
Then what?
Marquis and Michael, I miss them. I saw Michael recently.
Oh my gosh, seeing Marquis today just like set my heart on fire.
You saw her in the city? No, you saw her on the Skype. Hi, Marquis.
Hi, Marquis, if you ever watch this. Okay, are you ready for the next segment?
Yeah.
Getting to know you.
Now they can hear us.
Yeah. Okay, Ryan.
Yes.
I'm going to ask you a series of questions.
Yes.
Your
true, false.
Goal.
False.
No.
Okay.
Should you choose to accept it, is to answer as quickly and honestly as possible.
Let's go.
You ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, I have my questions here, so you are not allowed to look.
Great. I'll look this way.
Great. Well, no, you can look. Just don't read them.
Okay. Well, they're right there.
Well, don't read them. Okay, great. You ready?
Yes.
Oh, and if you don't answer fast enough, I'm going to skip to the next one. So then the world will never know your truth.
Great. I'm giving you my truth fast and heavy. That's sorry.
Heavy. Okay, great. Restrict. Okay. Ready and
yes.
Causes that are important to you.
Oh wow. Okay. Tipping at restaurants.
Ooh, least favorite thing.
People that don't tip at restaurants.
When are you the most creative?
When I'm the most creative is at night.
When are you the most inspired?
Probably when I go to bed at night.
Last piece of content you consumed that made you cry.
Oh, God. I saw Fleabag that made me cry.
Sweet or savory?
Savory.
Who should people be following right now?
The political candidates.
Celebrities you admire?
Ooh, Mark Ruffalo.
Song you can listen to on repeat, totally.
I'm listening to Danny Nadelko right now, which is it's a punk song. It's very good.
Ooh, what makes you smile the most?
Hanging out with friends.
Last country you visited?
Oh, Spain.
Ooh, if you could go to any concert, past or present, what would it be?
Any concert? I want to go to Of Montreal. And they're actually playing in Brooklyn very soon. We should get tickets. I gotta go.
Okay, your affirmation every day. My
affirmation every day. Try.
Can you describe yourself in a hashtag?
Hashtag Ryne Nardecchia.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how excited are you about life right now?
5.
You are stuck on a deserted island and you only have one book. What are you reading?
I'm reading the current book that I'm reading because I'm very interested in what's happening, which is Wolf and White Fan by John Darnielle.
If your life was a musical, what would the Marquis say?
The Marquis would say, it's a musical.
What's one thing people don't know about you?
One thing that people don't know about me is I have a huge collection of Legos at home.
Favorite Disney character?
Favorite Disney character is Mike Wazowski.
If you could star in any movie, what would it be?
Monsters Inc. and I'd want to be Mike Wazowski.
What's your favorite time of day?
Favorite time of day is at night.
You love night. If you could travel the world with anyone, who would it be?
Grace.
Dream country to visit. That's so sweet.
Dream country to visit?
Mm-hmm.
I would love to go to Sweden.
What's the most sentimental gift received?
Sentimental gift received. My girlfriend Eloise actually recently gave me a very nice gift, which was not probably not the most, but it was well, maybe it is. She hates games, and I was playing this Dungeons and Dragons campaign with some friends of mine, and she like heard about it, and she like made like a fake like game to like gave it to me on my birthday, and I like broke down crying in front of our entire cast. Yeah, that was pretty cool. I like have the rules like on my wall in my room.
That's so sweet. But on a more serious note, heels or flats?
Heels or flats?
Mm-hmm.
Heels.
Vintage or new?
Vintage.
If you couldn't be an actor, what would you do?
If I couldn't be an actor, I would probably build something or like something tangible, architecture maybe.
Ooh, style icon.
Style icon. Eloise DeLuca. That's my girlfriend.
Oh.
She's very good style.
That's amazing. What are 3 things you can't live without?
Water, family, and my eyes.
And that's the last question.
Oh, really? Great.
What?
What, my eyes?
Why can't you live without your eyes?
I like to be able to see things.
So if you went blind, you would die?
I would die. It's a weird Nardecchia secret. We'll talk about it.
Oh my gosh, it's your kryptonite.
It's our kryptonite. It's our eyes. When I go to sleep at night, I'm like, oh God, are they going to be there when I wake up? And
oh my gosh, wow. Must be scary to be you.
Yeah, very.
That's amazing.
Always.
Amazing. Ryan, thank you so much for being on One Voice Live. It was a pleasure.
Thank you for having me, Alexino.
So you guys, next week, same time, Wednesday on YouTube, 6:30 p.m. CT, I will be joined by Michael Maresca, and we're going to dig in even further why we don't use the terms chest, mix, and head voice, and what we use instead. So see you guys then. Thank you.
Chest coordination, not chest voice. Sorry. I ruined that momentum.
We're all learning, huh? All right. See you guys next week. And thanks for watching
One Voice Live.